Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today Michael has asked me to play Jaxis the Troublemaker in Legacy. This is a card that I've messed around with in EDH, where it's a pretty fun way to make extra copies of things. And a lot of times copying creatures with ETB abilities, especially if they have decent power and toughness, can be pretty strong. So walking through the two abilities here, its first ability has you discard a card to create a token that's a copy of another creature you control, but it gains haste, and when that creature dies, you draw a card, and you always sacrifice that creature at the beginning of the next end step. This is sorcery speed only. So if you kind of look at it in terms of value, you play this card, you spend 1 mana, you junk a card to create a copy of a creature that you already play. So assuming you get a card worth of value out of maybe an ETB ability and an attack step, you are going to kind of net cards because you will then draw a card when it dies or is otherwise sacrificed at the end of turn. Now, a 4 mana card that does nothing upon entering the battlefield is a little rough by Legacy standards. So let's take a look at the blitz cost. That's what's actually more interesting here. If you cast it for its blitz cost, which is 1 and a red, it gains haste, but it dies at the end of turn. But you also draw a card. The idea in today's deck is that we blitz this in and activate its ability for a total of 3 mana, copying an initiative creature, venturing through the Undercity, maybe making something like a 5-power attacker, drawing a card at the end of turn for Jaxis dying, drawing a card at the end of turn for the initiative copy creature dying. Do you see where this is going? This is maybe not the ravings of a madman. Maybe. Now, if you've been following the initiative deck closely, you've probably seen that Cursed Mirror is something that floats in and out of especially red-focused builds of this deck, where sometimes you'll use this to copy a Goblin Rabblemaster or a Caves of Chaos Adventurer, and then it becomes a mana rock afterwards. So this idea of paying 3 mana for a copy of an initiative creature is something that already has precedent in Legacy. This is maybe not actually crazy, and let's take a look at the full deck list here. Today's video is sponsored by moxfield.com as well as Cool Stuff Inc. And if you need paper magic cards, check out Cool Stuff Inc. and use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your order. So essentially what I've done here is I've taken an initiative deck from a challenge top 8 and adjusted it ever so slightly to fit in copies of Jaxis the Troublemaker. And to do that, basically, we remove copies of Forth Eorlingas from the main deck. While this card is incredibly powerful, I do consider it to be sort of not in the core of the deck list. As in, you can build the deck without this, and you won't miss it. Like, you are still a fully functioning initiative deck, but again, it's very good. I am opting to play extra copies of Plateau rather than any sort of utility lands such as Caracas, because I think stable mana is really good. And the sideboard is a little non-stock here. I'm going up on some things like Mindbreak Trap because I think there's a lot of combo online right now. And I am going to slot in some copies of Forth Eorlingas into the sideboard in case we do want it for some of the longer, grindier control matchups. That said, it does come at the cost of something like maybe Magus of the Moon, which can give you some free wins versus greedy decks. Yeah, with that being said, I'm leaving for Vegas tomorrow, so let's try to get this recording done. Let's get some people dead with initiative creatures. Oof. Obviously, auto mulligan on that one. Yeah, no threat in this hand. Yikes. We're going to 5. Not starting the video off strong. Can I copy a token? I can copy a token. Okay. 1, 2, 3 mana. I'm on 5 cards. This is going to be a keep. I throw back the secondary Chrome Mox, and I probably throw back Touch the Spirit Realm. And this is fully like Fable of the Mirror Breaker, take the wheel, save my ass. Sorry, Jaxis. We're on a mold of 5. I don't get to do cool things with you. Our opponent is probably playing a mono black Beseech the Mirror Helm of Obedience combo deck list. And I just need to find an initiative creature, and I have a very reasonable game. I will have 3 looks to do that, although things get a little spicy if my opponent Dark Rituals into Orcish Bowmasters. Okay, yep, this is very much an indication of Beseech the Mirror. I feel like my read is good. God damn it, they have Bowmasters. Well, I guess they play... No, they can play it in response to the trigger. Well... Oh, okay. I thought we were Bowmastering. Chalice is going. I'll keep the... No, I'm gonna loot 2 for the initiative, despite the... I don't have white mana, unless this lives. I think this lives. Loot 2. F. This is bad. So I'll crash on in there. We might be Bowmaster ping block with token. Nope, okay. I am just not getting a read on this situation. Are we in dire enough straits that I'm playing Simian Spirit Guide? Yes, sir. Yes, we are. Okay. I don't get it. I feel like my opponent had multiple opportunities in that turn cycle to use an Orcish Bowmasters better than ping me for 1 at the end step. Like, you've got artifacts. It's not like the token is necessary for Beseech then. So am I missing something, or are you missing something? Okay. Feel like I'm dead next turn. I want to play City. I will send in with both of these. This treasure gives me extra white mana. I'll let my opponent block. If my opponent does some weird double block stuff, trying to get rid of this Goblin Shaman, I will Solitude to not lose the Shaman. Opposition Agent. Sure. That is probably enough to make me respond here. I'll Solitude and take out the Opposition Agent. And then my opponent can trade 2 bodies for Goblin Shaman if they want. Very stressful. Being probably 2 mana away from death, which means a Soul Land or a Dark Ritual plus Beseech does it. Okay. No double block from my opponent. Alright, there's Urza Saga. Okay. This is going to be the Beseech. Oh, fuck, it's a Karn. That's so much better than I was expecting. Yes. Let's see how bad this is. It could just be something like an Ensnaring Bridge. Okay, it is a Helm. So I am probably dead next turn. Not a great situation. Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Okay. So, I will go 1, 2. Oh, fuck. Don't have red. I need to kill Karn. I send all 3 things at Karn. Karn doesn't necessarily die. I can Solitude. Okay. Yeah, this is awkward. So, I make a copy of Solitude. Use that to remove one of these. Doesn't matter which one. And now I'll go to combat. It says attack me. I'm going to assume that that is the Karn. I send both Solitudes that way. Both of these creatures at my opponent. Opponent keeps their Orc token around. My mana is now back on, meaning that I can play Caves of Chaos Adventurer, take the initiative, and gain access to white mana. I don't need to play that land drop. I know my opponent has Helm. I need to dodge them drawing a land. And if I dodge them drawing a land, I probably win the game on my next turn. So let's see. I guess I also need to dodge Dark Writ. All right. We will forge up the Trampler here. Seasoned Dungeoneer. That's quite good. So 2 mana. Get access to white mana. 5 total mana. Play Seasoned Dungeoneer. Take the initiative. Moving to Trap. Putting my opponent to 9. I'm not expecting Dismember or other targeted removal. I'm expecting Edicts if my opponent is playing anything. So Caves of Chaos Adventurer is my target for this. Alright, and my opponent is done. We got a little lucky to dodge there, not gonna lie. So I like Lauren. Null Rod is quite reasonable, especially since my opponent is playing artifact lands. And these 6 cards I can consider. I'm not the biggest fan of Chalice of the Void in matchups that look like this one. Most of the rest of my cards are pretty reasonable. So it's mostly a question of like, do I want to get better versus things like Douthie Voidwalker? Do I want to get better versus stuff like Helm? What is my balance? I guess as a secondary thing, how good is Jaxis in this matchup? Null Rods and Laurens are 100% coming in, and then how much of the rest of this do I want? I don't think I'm going to get rid of Archons. If I cut 3 Jaxis, I can play 4 Swords to Plowshares, and that helps get Douthie Voidwalker's opposition agents, their blockers, out of the way. Or I can just play like a split of Jaxis and Forth Eorlingas. I think I'm going to do Swords when I'm on the draw, and more threats when I'm on the play. It's just pretty easy to be on the back foot against like Dark Ritual, Opposition Agent, or sorry, Dark Ritual, Douthie Voidwalker, Thoughtseize, or something like that. This one's no good, not enough solid mana. This is not great. I'm probably keeping it and hoping that Fable gets me to an appropriate place here. But I don't want to be starting on turn 2 Fable hands. Like, this is worse than the hand I kept in the previous game by a pretty significant margin. Okay. So this is just going to be an Urza Saga Ancient Tomb hand. That is acceptable. I guess I'll have to think about whether or not I want to play City of Traders or Ancient Tomb. It's probably Ancient Tomb. Sure. Okay. Ensnaring Bridge. I've got outs to that. But I'm not the biggest fan of how this game is starting out. I'm also not sure that my opponent was supposed to board in Ensnaring Bridge. If they boarded out their 1 copy of Karn, though, it makes sense that they did it. So I'm going to take that back. I'm going to assume that's what has happened here. I also sort of feel like my opponent has ended up in this position where they're all in on Beseech, like getting the Helm kill. So if they can't get to that black this turn for Beseech, I get a lot of looks at a Null Rod. Unfortunately, it looks like they found it. Alright, so that is a bargained Beseech. Finding the Helm. And that unfortunately results in my death. Yeah, we don't want to keep a Fable hand. Like, that's... I don't know that I go to 5 there, but I'm not looking to play that sort of game. So when I'm on the play, I probably leverage my deck differently. I could do something like play Chalice on 0 to stop their artifact mana from hitting play when I'm on the play. I'd rather just floop down an initiative creature and bury my opponent that way. Mindbreak Trap can do some things versus like Dark Ritual Beseech based lines, but Does Jaxis or Forth Eorlingas end up goldfishing my opponent faster? Jaxis is better if I get locked behind an Ensnaring Bridge. Alright. So we're a little more aggressive on the play. My hand's a keep. I think this is turn 2 Null Rod. Well, I could play City of Traders and immediately Null Rod, so it can't be taken by discard. Turn 1 Fable still lets me season Dungeoneer on 2, and I can try to wait on Null Rod till a little bit later. I can turn 1 Null Rod into turn 2 season Dungeoneer, but that line is pretty bad versus discard. I think I am going to... The treasures will get shut off by my own Null Rod, which is awkward. Alright. Let's just Rod. Let's just not let that ever get taken by discard. And my opponent does randomly have like some artifact lands and such in their deck, so This play could be very strong. Love seeing tapped land on turn 1. This is potentially going to be quite good. Let's go 1-2. Human. Sacrifice the city. Exile Spirit Guide for Dungeoneer. And I'll use this for red mana, I think, rather than the white that I normally get. So now I have an aggressive clock in play and a piece of disruption. We might end up trading the initiative back and forth. And I'm still looking to draw another land here. I don't know, maybe I'm supposed to get the plains. It's just like really awkward that I need true red to activate Jaxis' ability. I just shut off the ability to use this for the channel effect in the next turn cycle by taking the line that I took. My opponent's deep in the tank here. Alright, so they are going for a Dalthy Voidwalker, so they can potentially contest the initiative. That's fine. I'm going turbo here, looking to get my opponent dead. And let's keep working on that plan. Oh, nice. Plateau is very good. Alright, my opponent's at 15. I'll hold up Touch the Spirit Realm this turn, but I might end up just blanking out Dalthy Voidwalker if my opponent attacks with it. Yeah, I think this is worth a card here. And I think I want to keep the counters on my creature rather than blink my initiative creature here. Blinky. I don't think my opponent liked that. Alright, their Dalthy Voidwalker comes back. Something like Opposition Agent could be available here. Need to keep that in mind. Puts my opponent to 10. I'm not the best versus an Edict right now. That's okay. So, Plateau. Cast with Blitz. Gives it haste. Alright, cool. So, target Seasoned Dungeoneer. A red, I'll discard the Fable. Make a copy of Seasoned Dungeoneer. Taking the initiative. Meaning that I draw a card off Archives. Nice. Attack with both. This one will target the one on the left. This one will target the one on the right. This is 8 potential damage. Will I put Simian Spirit Guide into my graveyard? With this first trigger, no. With this second trigger, yes. There is now 10 damage coming in, and I imagine that my opponent is dead, as this shadow creature cannot block, and Jaxis did something kind of gross here. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, which is just the best place to keep your online deck lists. And one of the things that I love about them is that you can use it to keep track of what cards you do and don't have for a deck. So for example, in this deck list, I have all of the cards, so there are nice blue bubbles filled in here, and that's automatically ported over to your collection tab, where you can see exactly what cards you do and don't have. All right. Boy, these Chrome Moxen are awkward. I guess that's what Fable's for. So Lotus Petal, City, Fable, loot away both of those. This is a keep. It's just real awkward if Fable of the Mirrorbreaker eats a Force of Will. It's less bad if the token gets removed. I'm still not happy if that happens, but it's less bad. All right, Fable, let's do it. I believe in you. Excuse me? What? How do you sideboard against someone who has kept on, I think it was a 6. They kept on 6 and then conceded to Fable of the Mirrorbreaker. Is this an unfair deck that kept a hand that was 1 card short of going off? I think I'm not going to overthink it and just whack the submit button. I would not fault someone for just boarding in a bunch of random combo hate cards here. This is not enough mana. I'll be mulliganing this one. Yeah, this is fine. Conceded to turn 1 Fable last time. Can just fucking do it again. I keep this, and unfortunately the Jaxis probably goes back. If I had like a soul land so that I could play Seasoned Dungeoneer on 1 instead of Fable of the Mirrorbreaker on 1, I think I keep Jaxis. My opponent kept on 5. Taiga Exploration. Okay. The lands? Okay. So my opponent is going to have a pretty quick Merit Lage. And this Chalice of the Void is coming down a little bit too slowly. We are going to play Fable on turn 1. And the hope here is that I loot into one of the 2 copies of Touch the Spirit Realm or one of the 4 copies of Solitude to answer the 2020 that's coming. That's what I'm going to need. Punishing Fire, sure. All right. So yes, I use this ability. I throw away Chalice of the Void. I'm going to throw away Plateau as well. Okay. Did not find the cards that I am looking for. So I'm probably about 2 turns away from being dead. Okay. If I keep this card in hand, Solitude isn't out to a Merit Lage. I think I am supposed to play this card, though. I get to pull another basic land out of my deck in case my opponent doesn't immediately go for Merit Lage and goes for something else. And this allows me to go to Lost Well next turn and scry 2. And by making this play, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. This gives me the scrying to hard cast the Duder. Lost Well. Bottom. Fuck yeah. Let's go. Plains? Crash in with Seasoned Dungeoneer? Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Would I like to draw that? I wouldn't say it's one of my best draws. I'd rather just draw like a Jaxis or an initiative creature, but it's probably above average. Alright. My opponent's at 15. I'll pass the turn. Oh my gosh. I've never seen this trick before. You make a 20/20. I send your 20/20 to the Shadow Realm. You do gain 20 life. That's not nothing here. But I'm hoping to do some pretty cool things in the meantime. I think a 4/1 is approximately as valuable as a card draw. Yeah, it's pretty similar. So let's Reflection of Kiki Jiki. Target Seasoned Dungeoneer. Make a 4/1. Go to combat. And we will cleave through this 35 life pretty quickly. First one targets this. Second one targets this. I will not put that into the graveyard. Caves of Chaos Adventurer is a fine draw. It also just grows this. That puts my opponent to 23. They can return their Punishing Fire if they would like. It's very costly mana-wise for them to actually cast that. Am I playing this? Probably. I'll loot away 1 cavern. Making extra land drops is valuable in case something like Tabernacle ends up happening. And we're done here in short order. All right. I've got an awkward Cavernous Souls hand here, where if Cavernous Souls was a true red source, this hand is very, very, very good. But unfortunately, I think I have to mulligan this one. This is much better. Ancient Tomb, Chalice into Plateau, Fable. Chromox or City of Traders is probably going to be the thing that doesn't fit in the hand. The Chromox is interesting. It lets me play an initiative creature earlier. If I draw one, I think I still get rid of it, though. I think I want the second City of Traders in case my initial Ancient Tomb gets wastelanded. Although that's less likely now that my opponent is mulliganing to 5. A Windswept Heath. We elves in over there? Bayou. Okay. Could be like Witherbloom Apprentice combo? I'm just trying to line up main deck Thoughtseize plus wants to mulligan aggressively. I've lost the Chalice. Alright. We'll do Ancient Tomb and pass. Opponent knows what I've got on the table here. Alright. Okay. We are potentially some sort of Reclaimer Elves build. I'm thinking about just Oblivion Ringing this and not letting my opponent ever activate this. As much as I want to immediately loot with Fable, my opponent is lower on resources than I am, so trading 1 for 1 is probably better for me than it is for them. Goodbye. Now, this play is much worse for me if my opponent just, like, plays land and then plays a turn 3 Grist, and I'm, like, behind as far as the creature count is concerned. I get bogged, that's fine. Jaxis. That's awkward in the face of Caracas. Let's drop this and throw down Fable. Okay, Green Sun is probably fine. Gaddock Teague. Okay, so my opponent is playing around Forth Eorlingas. Alright. Definitely using this ability. I'm looting through City of Traders, and I think looting through Spirit Guide here. Nice. Yeah. I think I play Seasoned Dungeoneer this turn. Oh, tapped that wrong. I'll use it to pick up a mountain. And I would be happy enough trading Goblin Shaman for Teague. However, I don't think my opponent's going to do that. Alright. Now, my opponent could remove Seasoned Dungeoneer, crack in, get the initiative, get a land drop, and then, like, Green Sun for a relatively large creature. Like, there are ways that this can go bad. Yep, absolutely. So my opponent will get to take the initiative, and then hopefully I'll end up taking it right back. There's the land drop from the initiative. Okay. So this is probably going to be a little weird, right? So for sequencing here, I need to blitz this Jaxis, then play an Archon of Emeria. Ooh. Maze? Thespian stage. Okay. Okay. Finding Dark Depths. Okay, so now I Jaxis something. I guess it doesn't matter what. It's 2 points of damage, anything that I do. So I should probably target this and get a treasure. I guess I could also attack with the Jaxis, but I'd like to convert the planes into a new card. Alright. To do this, send in. I get treasure tokens. I take the initiative. Oh, it's at 11. Kind of means that they're at 6. If I go down the left side. So it's mostly, do I want to try to answer the Merit Lodge, or do I want to try to kill my opponent next turn? I get a decent number of looks at a Swords to Plowshares or the other Touch the Spirit Realm. I think I'm going to Lost Well. About to draw 2 cards plus 1 on draw step. Maybe I just Forge. I Forge on the flyer. That gets blocked by Merit Lodge. It doesn't actually add additional damage. No, I'm going to Lost Well. Bottom. Bottom. Alright. So sacrifice that. Draw a card. Sacrifice this. Draw a card. Oh my god, so many lands. Alright. If things go poorly, I have a backup plan. It's just a little shameful. Alright, my opponent is making it now. There's the 2020. So, kind of want to diagonal and go to archives. Let's arena on Gaddock Teague. I think. Let's just get rid of that body. That's a Fable. I would like to loot through both of these. Play Fable. No good attack. Pass turn. Except in end step, I think I make my copy of Archon now. So that can't be disrupted by Swords to Plowshares. Alright. So now I have a blocker for Merit Lage so that it can't just murder me. A Spell Bomb is fine. That's my opponent's 1 spell. That's what they get. I'm good with this. Opponent's debating the Merit Lodge attack. Making it dance a little bit. I think the answer is don't attack. And my opponent agrees. I'll block with this token. Don't have to worry about anything like Snuff Out or anything weird happening because of Archon. And now I lose the extra Archon. So now I will go to Archives to draw an extra card. Fantastic. Yes, I will use this ability. I think a City of Traders is better than a Lotus Petal. 1, 2. Oh, buddy. Okay. Yeah. Cast Season Dungeoneer. This triggers Throne of the Dead 3. Let's find something to deal with Merit Lage. Found it. Solitude. Take that out. Ah, right. One spell a turn. All right. My opponent conceded. Forgot about my Archon. We were very good this game, but I did not need to take the damage from the Ancient Tomb. So my opponent is somewhere in kind of that mavericky, mid-range rock ballpark. They mulliganed and kind of got stuck on mana, so we didn't see a ton of their deck. But I'm getting more Maverick vibes since we saw the whole Dark Depths combo. I am interested in Swords to Plowshares. I think I'm interested in boarding out Chalice of the Void. I am going to think about boarding these in, even though my opponent very proactively played Gaddock to get around those. I then showed my opponent some weird bullshit, which maybe indicates that I don't have room for this card in my deck. Jaxis is weird against Caracas. That's easily tutorable. Lauren sometimes has targets. Do I want 4 Jaxis, or do I want to split Jaxis with Forth Eorlingas? Jaxis is so good at advancing the initiative when my stuff lives. Forth Eorlingas is Forth Eorlingas, though. I'm very unsure here. I am going to default to playing Jaxis, and I'm going to get a feel for how aggressively my opponent Gaddock-Teagues, because they Gaddock-Teague very aggressively in game 1 to play around this card. Maybe against a worse player, I board in the Forth Eorlingas, but my opponent is very aware of a card that is going to beat them, so maybe boarding it in is not going to give me the value that I want. Ooh, we are mana light here, and I don't have persistent red or white. Yeah, I don't know about this one. So, I have swords or an initial creature on turn 1. And in theory, I have 4 mana on turn 2 for an initiative creature if I draw one. I have Solitude as a further backup plan. I have 2 draws to hit one of 8 creatures. One of these 8. I would be happy if one of those 2 draws hit these 16 cards. How does that math out? A little over half the time I hit. I'm going to say that that's good enough. It's not like the 60 or 70% that I'd really like to see to be super comfortable doing this. All right. So my opponent tapped an untapped Mox Diamond and then played the land. Yeah. Going up against Thoughtseize is another reason to maybe just keep the mediocre hand. In that mulliganing further makes it less likely that I can just jam the one thing that my hand is good at doing. I don't super want to 2-for-1 myself to take this out. I might end up doing it since my hand has an awful lot of nothing. I'll absolutely do it now. Yeah. Battle, City, Fable, Solitude this, not let my opponent ever tutor with it, and hope that I can stitch together an initiative creature in the next couple of turns with Fable. Even just finding something like an Archon would be okay. Please not Grist. Okay, cool. Not Grist. Yeah, that's quite good. All right. I don't discard because I just play an initiative creature. 1, 2, 3, 4. End them. Opponent goes to 16. 1, 2. Sack the land. 3, 4. Initiative creature. I've used 2 of my Solitudes. White still matters a lot. I'll grab the plains. So scariest thing for me is my opponent drawing Swords to Plowshares. Swords to Plowshares removes these, and Dungeoneer is pretty rough for me. Is this my opponent just saying that they're going to sacrifice to blow up Fable anyway? Probably. I don't expect anything to randomly do 2 points of damage. So I'll bite. Yep, that's fine. Blue mana? Okay, yeah. Alright, yeah. So glad to not be playing Forth Eorlingas here. So I think I'm just going aggro here. I think I put these on this token so this token doesn't die to traditional attacks. Nice. Yeah, and I'm just gonna crash in. We're gonna try to end this game in 2 attack steps. Do I put that into my graveyard? I think no, right? Because that just guarantees that I can cast Caves of Chaos Adventurer next turn. Let's say no. Treasure token. Opponent takes 8. I make a land drop and pass. Top deck Thespian Stage would be rough. I guess crop rotation as well. Or no, I still beat those because I just play this, go to trap. Yeah, I'm still good. Ooh, not by very much. All right. So, trap. Target my opponent. Put them to 5. They have no cards at hand. The seasoned Dungeoneer attack guaranteed kills them. You may make your creature on the way out. I will allow it. Beep beep. Seasoned Dungeoneer coming through. Margins on this game were surprisingly tight. That was a great game. All right, what are we looking at here? Turn 1 Fable of the Mirrorbreaker, but no follow-up. I don't think I like this. I think my opponent's an initiative player. I recognize this name. I don't have a persistent red source here. I think it's better to go to 5. All right. Chromox, Imprint, Fable. City of Traders, play Fable. Ignore the white cards. Get rid of Archon. I could, if my Fable token lives, I can just keep 2 initiative creatures. Let's actually do, or no, I'm putting one of these under this. So this is, put this under this, cast this. This is the file. Okay. Yeah. All right. This is as expected. All right. Chalice is a dead draw in this matchup, or very close to it. I'll imprint my own Fable and play another one. So my opponent's on the play. They're going to be overwhelmingly favored here. They get the first attack with their Goblin Shaman. They get the first looting. They get the first attempt at playing an initiative player, or an initiative card. And since I don't have a land drop, I can't block here to trade. So, how bad is it? Bad. Presume my opponent gets planes. Yep. Oh. Yes, we will use this ability. Junk both of those. Solitude. That's an incredibly good draw. So I will play Lotus Petal, attack with Goblin Shaman token, making a treasure, and then use both of my temporary mana sources to Solitude the Caves of Chaos Adventurer out of the way. This allows me to take the initiative back, and I will get my own planes, which I will not play this turn. And we've got an interesting game here. I'm kind of hoping that my opponent can't just immediately take the initiative back with another initiative creature, because they have the same Solitude line available to them this turn. I will 100% block to hold the initiative here. My long-term plan is copy my Caves of Chaos Adventurer for my win. I'm not planning on copying Solitude. All right. So I think I'm the beatdown, but my opponent is somewhat likely to just have a Solitude here. And so in a lot of timelines, I'm about to just lose this creature. In every timeline where my opponent has Solitude or another removal spell, it's better to go down the right side. That said, do I want to try to force the Solitude onto the token so that it can't remove Caves of Chaos Adventurer? But my opponent's setting up Reflection Solitude. Fuck. Let's Lost Well. Absolutely bottom those. All right. Let's crash in and make my mana. Opponent's at 17. I now get to go 1, 2, 3, 4 without losing the land drop. Drop Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Keep going down that right side. And I'll pass the turn here. Oh, fuck, no Solitude. Let's go. What on earth does my opponent have in hand then? Just like mono lands and pieces of artifact mana? Or they were just waiting until this was active? That's reasonable. I don't think you play around game 1 Swords to Plowshares, though. Alright, I'm in pretty bad shape. My opponent having Solitude really worked around my plan of copying Caves of Chaos Adventurer, and then I bottomed out after that. I'm fine attacking in and trading Goblin Shaman token for Solitude. My opponent takes the trade. Unfortunately, too many lands on top of the deck here. I think that was 4 lands on top in a row. We've got the Treasure from Stash. I think if they like play an initiative creature and copy it, I'd basically just concede the game. Because they get to Throne of the Dead 3 on an empty board while also dealing me 5 damage this turn. If there's anything neat in here. They've got a Comet. I think that's a 1-of in their list. Yeah, I think I'm comfortable conceding at this point. So let's get these copies of Chalice of the Void out of my deck, 4 copies of Swords to Plowshares, and then I need to think about this card. It and Jaxis are of similar quality in this matchup. Like, I don't expect the game to go long enough where we are frequently casting this for like X equals 5 or something like that. The nice thing about the Jaxis is that it can leverage the creatures that I already have in play that have resolved. This is a better standalone card. I think I am going to split them. Actually, maybe I should play Lauren. Do this. Just taking out an opposing piece of artifact mana can matter a lot. Yeah, I mean, this is fine. I unfortunately have to pitch the Swords to Plowshares to the Chrome Mox, but this hand is strong. So it's Chrome Mox, Imprint Sword, play City, drop turn 1 Archon into turn 2 Caves of Chaos Adventurer, and my opponent's lands are going to enter tapped, so we probably have a chunk of time here to do gross things. Solitude can still do some stuff. If my opponent has that. Name human. And we'll drop the Caves of Chaos Adventurer, grabbing a mountain. This game's probably just very fast here. My opponent has a basic land, or maybe a Solitude they can stay in this game. Otherwise, I imagine they're in trouble. And we're just going to split these across different bodies and diversify my power here. This is swinging in for 9. Another Caves of Chaos Adventure. Absolutely gross. I showed them Mountain before. And we'll exile the Spirit Guide we drew to immediately trap my opponent. Yeah. Yep. And I think I'm comfortable with how I'm boarded. On the draw, I could consider playing Mindbreak Trap to stop my opponent from playing just a turn 1 initiative card off like double Lotus Petal or Chrome Mox or something, but I don't think I'm going to go quite that deep. I don't like this hand. Like, I could do a turn 1 Archon, but then I can't do this. I'm going to look for something a little more stable. This is fine. This is a defensive hand. It's very much not my ideal, but it's not going to be stone cold dead to the first creature that my opponent plays. Yep. I'll just be playing tapped Plateau here. I don't think I'm going to just immediately trade Solitude and white card for that. I think I just want to Swords to Plowshares that creature. Okay. My opponent jams an initiative creature. It's a Fable, sure. So now I probably just remove this so that I can Swords this on my own turn. It costs a lot to do this. Alright, another Solitude. Okay. I am hoping my opponent just doesn't jam an initiative creature. I also should have waited after this loot to make that play. Discarded multiple pieces of mana, and then had no follow-up play. Alright. So I'm going to attempt to do some cool stuff. I will pick up a white card here. Sorry, a white land. Which technically gets me to my 5th mana, but it can be scary. Okay. There's my opponent taking the initiative. I think I am probably going to plan on hard casting a Solitude to remove one of these 2 creatures. But I'll probably attack with Seasoned Dungeoneer first, and then make my plan. Ooh, that's very good. That's very good. Alright, send in. Swords of Plowshares. No, I would be happy to draw that. My opponent goes to 20. I take the initiative back. I'm going to continue to forge on this creature. And now the question is, do I remove the Caves of Chaos Adventure or the Reflection of Kiki-Jiki? Because both are scary in different ways. This one's very scary if my opponent gets a Solitude. I think I just try to stop my opponent from trampling through this creature, though. So we exile the Spirit Guide, do this, take out this creature. Again, a Solitude is very bad for me if my opponent has that. I mean, I guess it has to be Solitude plus, like, Spirit Guide to copy. That has to happen immediately. Okay. The Solitude eats my Solitude. Reflection of Kiki-Jiki gets to attack in. Opponent gets to forge. They forge up their Solitude. That's fine. I attack in with Seasoned Dungeoneer and continue the beatdown. I will not put that into my graveyard. Very happy with this stream of removal here. Trap my opponent. Hit them down. I think I cast Solitude this turn so that I can double Swords to Plowshares next turn. Let's do this. Play this. Cast the Solitude. I think I let my opponent gain 5 life and just remove the Reflection of Kiki-Jiki. Like, if I remove Solitude plus another creature, that's probably going to be enough to win me this game. I don't think I jump block here or anything. I could, with double Swords to Plowshares. I don't think I'm going to, though. I don't care about eating trap here. All right, I'm at 11. Okay. Yep. My opponent goes to Archives. I guess I care about, like, Solitude plus white card. So I'll immediately just Swords Seasoned Dungeoneer so that both of these can attack in. Cavern of Souls. Sure. I draw a card. Play Cavern, put it on, like, Human. And I think I just immediately Swords this creature so that it can't be blinked with Touch the Spirit Realm. And I need to dodge my opponent having an initiative creature this turn. I did not. It's fine as long as my opponent doesn't hit Solitude off Throne of the Dead 3. Okay, my opponent largely missed. That's very good for me. So I will get to do my own Throne of the Dead 3 here. Okay, fantastic. May even be able to cast this turn. So send in with this. Caves of Chaos Adventurer. I will not put that into my graveyard. All right, my opponent goes to 10. I take the initiative, bringing me to Throne of the Dead 3. This gives me Caves of Chaos Adventurer, which puts me back into the initiative, allowing me to get a basic land. I will then play that basic land and use it to remove Seasoned Dungeoneer. So now I have the initiative. I have a large hexproof trampler. I have 2 lifelinkers and 1 unblockable creature. It's not fully over, but it's a good position for me. This has been a very intricate game. All right, we're 4-0, and we're now playing for the trophy with Jaxis. All right, we're playing against Eli, who plays goblins. My hand is borderline. With a white card as a draw, it's turn 1 Archon, turn 2 Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Otherwise, it's turn 2 Caves of Chaos Adventurer. I'm going to keep this. What day is it? Is it Wednesday? It's Wednesday. Mind Goblin, Sticker Goblin, Blank Goblin, whatever you want to call it, might be a thing. If so, Archon is pretty respectable. All right, here we go. Chromox imprinting a Goblin. Chromox imprinting a Muxus. We fucking going? Okay, it is a Goblin Ringleader. So this just reveals some cards. My opponent gets Skirk Prospector and Muxus. Terrifying. I take 2 points of damage. Does this cast? No, it puts them into play. Awkward. Very awkward. That's so rough. If my opponent draws a land, they play Skirk Prospector, sacrifice these 2 things, and then have Muxus on turn 2 after imprinting these 2 cards. So I don't know whether my opponent's build plays Wasteland. I'm going to leave myself with flexibility by playing this land, I think, because Archon's cool. Fuck you, Eli. Damn it. All right. That was a good rip. Oh, no. Yeah. Then Goblin Matron gets another Muxus to do it again next turn. I think I'm dead. Yeah. I get hit for 3. I missed the white card to get my Archon, which would have stopped the Muxus from coming down for another turn. I'm just going to concede and not show my opponent any more stuff. Don't kill my trophy. My opponent said skill game. Never change, Eli. Okay, so Swords is reasonable. Something like Lauren to blow up artifact mana is reasonable. When I'm on the draw, I can consider Mindbreak Trap. Chalice is awkward. My opponent is ultimately a Cavernous Souls deck. I could do this on like 0 to disrupt some artifacts. It's not going to feel great. Generally speaking, I think my plan for the game where I'm on the play is just Goldfish my opponent, just kill him quick. And then when I'm on the draw, I might throw some Hail Marys. These do trample. Jaxis plus Solitude is definitely a thing for if the game gets bogged down. Jaxis is probably a better 3-mana play than this, assuming that I've played one of these already. I'm not going to play this card when I'm on the play. That is 1 mana, or I guess it's technically 2 mana sources. This isn't going to do it. Oh, deck, don't do me dirty like this. Don't do me dirty like this when I'm on a trophy run. The 5-card hand is rough. It does not have persistent mana. I will be keeping this, unquestionably. 1 Jaxis goes back, and then it's like Ancient Doom versus Jaxis here. I think it's Jaxis. This does not feel good. So let's hope this Archon does some fucking work. It's a Simian Spirit Guide being pitched for a Battle Cry Goblin. Alright. I am probably not solituding that. Unless things get pretty weird. We'll just pass the turn. I would be fine with like using a Touch the Spirit Realm on that if I draw a white mana source. But I am just going to take some initial damage from this. That one's much scarier. I probably have to take out the Skirk Prospector. I'm not happy about it. But that card is much, much, much stronger than it looks. Need a land. Alright. Next turn, things start getting scary. Battlecry Goblin just gets pumped a little bit. I mean, I'm going to keep swinging. If I win this game, it is by reducing my opponent's life total to 0. And I can't really hold back versus this because my opponent can just pump it and attack in safely. Ooh. I'm probably dead. So my opponent kills this creature. The Shalikmons, sure. So my opponent can just activate Battlecry Goblin to let both of these attack this turn and hit me for 6. And then they get an extra Goblin, meaning that I am dead on board. No trophy for Phil today. Damn. I wanted it. I like this build. So is Jaxis the real deal? I think that this is a legacy power level card. Like within the context of an initiative deck, this absolutely does the sorts of things that you would want to be doing. Copying your initiative creatures, copying your solitudes, that's very good. However, the competition is so high within this deck list. You've got Forth Eorlingas, you've got Comet, you have some builds will go deeper into red to play some things like Fury. There's like this build didn't feature them, but Anointed Peacekeeper is also very reasonable. This card's power level was fine. It was pretty good in a lot of the cases where we had it. Like turning Jaxis and one other card from your hand into 2 new cards when you blitz is kind of like a Fable of the Mirrorbreaker activation in some ways. So this deck list definitely gets a thumbs up for me. It felt good. We had a lot of play to it, but I don't know that this card is going to be changing the metagame. I don't know that this is the new tech. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you need to buy any copies of Jaxis, check out Cool Stuff Inc. and use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your order. Folks, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya!